What's going on? What's going on, guys? This is your man, Real Deal, Steele. Top of the morning to you if you're in the United States. It's going on about 10 a.m. in my neck of the woods, give or take an hour or two where you're at. And once in a while, I will do a morning stream once in a great while. And this is one of those times. So good morning. Thank you for joining me this morning. Got an excellent, interesting show lined up for you tonight. It's all very time sensitive, which is another reason why I wanted to broadcast sooner than later today. We are going to predominantly talk about and cover what has been happening with Twitter and what I believe has been going on there and all of the developments that had occurred over the last 24 hours are just absolutely wild, So we are going to get down to it, boppers. I got a few folks in the chat active so far. We got Hump Deezy, Marie Potter, Low Roller, Paradiddle, Patrick McGinnis. Good to see you, Patrick. It's been a bit. Alan Schneider, and the real Nick Balls, of course. We all know Nick. We know and love Nick. Nick working on some exciting stuff, and we will be able to talk about that in the future, and look forward to having Nick on again soon. Before we begin, if I could just ask you, if you haven't already, smash that like button. Takes a split second of your time, doesn't cost you a dime. Number one thing you can do to work through these tricky YouTube algorithms, especially since your man is shadow banned everywhere. I'm shadow banned on YouTube. I'm shadow banned on Twitter, and that's because I tell things as it is, not as people would prefer them to be, as I see it, right? And I definitely paid the price for that. If you could like and RT the link on Twitter, for those of you who are on Twitter, so our fellow community members know that we are doing it, whether we are live. That would be awesome. Appreciate it. Obviously, super chats are also hugely appreciated for time and efforts put in. Feel free to ask me whatever questions you'd like this morning, and I will keep a close eye on the chat. So absolute mutiny, or attempted a mutiny over at Twitter HQ in San Francisco. Things just went bonkers last night. Huge swaths of Twitter employees denouncing Elon Musk and walking out, quitting on the job, and putting up a projection on the side of the Twitter building with many what I believe to be very juvenile insults and unfair and inaccurate insults at Elon Musk, and projecting those on the side of Twitter HQ. And they are pissed. They are very, very upset. And what we are seeing here is essentially not only a collusion between now former Twitter employees, but the mainstream media, mainstream news outlets and channels, as well, and governments, our government specifically, all colluding collectively together to try to ensure that Twitter is a failure under Elon Musk. They hate that Elon Musk is in control of it. You know, it's one of these things where when you see the hyperbolic, disproportionate reaction to Elon's acquisition of Twitter, it really vindicates and validates how important it was to him. And it really validates Twitter essentially being the digital town square, the closest thing to it, right? More than any other platform in terms of creating and establishing conversations that directly impact the trajectory of our culture and opinions, and even the Overton window, right? For those of you who aren't familiar with that term, just feel free to Google it. And it's just absolutely wild. It's absolutely wild. And we are seeing many grown adults acting like spoiled children who got their toy taken away from them by their mom or dad. Trending hashtag last night and even into today, RIP Twitter. RIP Twitter. And I don't know if that was in part a reaction to Elon trolling Jimmy Fallon, RIP Jimmy Fallon, which was a comedic hashtag trend, a joke trend. And Jimmy got very upset. I talked about this on my show the night before last. Well, I wouldn't say he got really upset. Let's be fair. But he did ask Elon to do something about it, essentially, on Twitter. And Elon responded by essentially saying, "What's the problem, dude? Deal with it." Deal with it, essentially. And so that's how that played out. Anyway, number one trending topic on Twitter last night, and today it seemed to have evolved into the hashtag trend, Twitter off. Now it's Twitter off, so which is interesting. Let's just think about how ridiculous and stupid this entire protest is. Here we have large swaths of people protesting Twitter by tweeting. Protesting and boycotting Twitter by using Twitter and tweeting and starting hashtag trends. As I tweeted out when I woke up this morning, how dumb do you have to be to declare Twitter is dead while using Twitter while it's experiencing more usage than ever before? Isn't that something? So Twitter is in the midst of experiencing the most usage than it ever has in its history. When did Twitter start? Around 2006, I believe, somewhere in there. So Elon knows what he's doing. I believe people are underestimating him pretty significantly. I know he's got a lot on his plate, and I know this is his first foray into social media, as far as being the CEO of a social media company. But in terms of his business acumen and instincts, I wouldn't underestimate that, folks. I wouldn't underestimate that. And so he is you got to understand, and I think most of you listening here do, Elon trolling constantly and kind of ratcheting up and trolling the people that despise him the most. It makes for a good show. It makes for a place that people want to be. It makes things more interesting and lively. And so he understands this, and he understands that this is only going to draw more people into Twitter, into the narrative going on there, and use it more and check in more, right? So yeah, let's see what's going on in the chat. I'll get back to this conversation shortly. Steele, Nick says the FTX sex tape drops today. Who's pumped? Is that really being released today? Should we just start calling it FT sex? Barf. I mean, no offense to those guys, those two, but let's just say it's not a visual that most of us would make on purpose. Currently, Kraken is working with the FBI to arrest the hacker. Yes, that is true. Nick, you're welcome anytime. You're welcome anytime. Anytime, Nick. We'll love to have you back in the mix. And if you even want to do some I'll even get my butt up here on mornings if mornings work better for you. So yeah, what do you guys think of what's going on here? I just think it's I've never seen such a petulant and ridiculous and hyperbolic response to anything corporate related in my life in terms of layoffs or what have you. It's just incredible. So Twitter is alive. It's not dead. It's still going strong. It's going stronger than ever. And here we have just a collective temper tantrum of people who really overinflated their relevance and worth to the company. We have this massive walkout, and Twitter seems to be operating fine, albeit I'm sure Elon's hands are more than full today. But he also tweeted last night, folks, that the best employees have decided to stay, and the worst ones have decided to leave, which, and he says he's not that worried. A little bit of breaking crypto Twitter news. I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with the popular Twitter crypto personality Shillin' Villain Alex. He hosts a lot of Twitter Spaces, about 100 and some thousand followers. His account has been suspended. I'm not going to read that much more into it. I just not quite sure what that's about. These guys mostly run in the NFT degen coin space, that kind of thing. I have mixed it up with that guy once or twice in spaces before. His co-host is pretty rude, I gotta say, but he's always been all right to me, so I'm not sure what the deal is surrounding that. Nick says, I'll come on, but I want to use my cam to show off my new pad. Well, we'll plan something within the week, Nick, and we'll go live on cam. And I've kind of been deferring that anyway. I want to go live on cam anyway and do some more, get back to doing some more streams with that format. Wild Out says the people crying about Twitter are a perfect example of children not spanked growing up. Well, I think the entire sector and culture of social media, Silicon Valley, jobs, etc. Many of them are pretty cush. You know, in a way, I'm kind of, you can't blame them, right? Getting accustomed to all these extra accoutrements and frills, right? And especially for the minimal amount of work that they reportedly had been doing. Talk about a bloated budget and staff. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to find anything like it before Elon took over. I don't know how many of you have seen that TikTok of that young lady going about a day in the life as a Twitter employee at Twitter HQ there in San Francisco, but it's so unintentionally hilarious. And I think it's kind of gone viral since this shakeup over here at Twitter. And it's funny, it's just everything she says is with that ending in that uptone. You know, you guys know what I'm talking about. So I get in the morning and I go over to the espresso bar and I make myself a nice tall latte. And then I go in the silence meditation booth and meditate there for a bit. Then I saunter onto the rooftop sunbathing station and play beanbag toss. And then I go to my office and do a few Zoom call meetings. And then I go to the yoga room. And I mean, I'm not even exaggerating. And then I have another Zoom call. And then I go to the smoothie bar. It's just, and then I have some wine on tap and then call it a day. It's like, I mean, more power to them, but keep in mind, these people were being paid well into six figures for many of them under 10 hours of work a week. I'm not exaggerating, and this was verified through Project Veritas, right? Say what you want about Project Veritas. I know they definitely have a strong conservative bias over there, but you can't argue with the raw live footage that they have come up with on several stories over the years. And that was one of them. And he interviewed. He was recording some conversations that he was having with some of the higher ups at the time on Twitter, and it's kind of the same narrative. Average work week is 4 to 6 hours a week, and these are people being paid $300,000, $400,000, $600,000 a year, and this was not uncommon according to them. So, of course, Elon's going to lean down. Basically, what we had with Twitter before Elon was a racket wherein a bunch of Silicon Valley social justice activists were being well overpaid. And the primary utility of Twitter up until recently had been to pretty much curate the culture, curate the conversation, the national conversation. It's very Orwellian what had been happening there. And it didn't end at Twitter, as we well know. It's permeated every facet of social media, including this platform. This platform, I've been same thing that's happened to me on Twitter, and it's still like that for me on Twitter now. This channel has been shadowed, throttled, because Crypto Batman warned me. He said, "Man, you talk about some stuff." He says, "I'm not saying what you talk about is wrong or incorrect. I agree with it, but you talk about some stuff that's might get your channel, And he was right. And so I could have a lot more viewers and subscribers than I do if I would just stick to the usual crypto channel kind of stuff. But I'm not going to do that. And I wouldn't be being true to myself, and I wouldn't be happy with myself being that, honestly. So I know I have an unconventional format here. I know this isn't your usual crypto channel by any means. In fact, it's more just kind of like a live talk show, or I happen to talk about crypto sometimes. I understand it's kind of more evolved into that. I get it. And if I wanted to get a lot more viewers, I'd start from scratch. I'd tell everyone everything's going to the moon all the time. I'd make thumbnails where my mouth was gaping wide open as far as it can be, and just look totally shocked and surprised every show. I would put titles in my videos saying that crypto is either about to make you filthy rich or crash into the depths of hell at every program. But that's just not the kind of person I am. It's just not the kind of content I want to make, and I've really paid for it, honestly. It is really much a trade-off, and just like Twitter as well, I've really paid the price for speaking out and expressing myself. As many of you know, I'm on my second Twitter account now. My first one was growing rapidly up until about 17,000 followers, and then Twitter put the old kibosh on that. Can't have a guy like me expressing the things I was expressing get too popular, so they shadowed and throttled me there, and I started absolutely from scratch with this my current profile, and the same thing happened there. Now, I'm hoping this will change under Elon's tenure. I'm still kind of skeptical, kind of doubtful that it's going to get done. I will celebrate when it happens, but as of right now, hardly anything has really changed in terms of censorship at Twitter under the old regime and under Elon. And this could just be a matter of time. I know his plate is more than full, folks, but at the same time, we need to pay attention to it and just not assume this is all going to get sorted without us speaking up about it and drawing attention to it and holding Elon's feet to the fire in this regard. Elon said one of the main reasons why he acquired Twitter was to increase freedom of speech, increase the conversation. Well, in my opinion, a hallmark of that should include doing away with shadow banning, which has a multifaceted tentacles that really go deep in terms of how it, the varieties of ways in which it impacts those who are shadow banned. This has happened to many, many people, many of us. And the algorithm is absolutely a fixed, rigged game. And it's got to change in order for freedom of speech to begin to thrive at all. Because right now, there's a reason why you see more conversations than others, more different, certain kinds of opinions than others. And the old regime's rigged algorithm is still fully in place as of right now. And if you, unless you follow and have the notifications on for people, let's say, that generally have perspectives like mine, you will never see them, and you'll never discover those. You'll never discover those people if you don't already follow them and have the notifications on. And even if you do follow those sorts of people, chances are they're not going to show up in your feed. Because people that are shadowed, only a fraction, only a slice of the pie of their own followers ever get to see their stuff. Have you ever accidentally, or not accidentally, have you ever thought about someone that you followed a long time ago on Twitter, and you just randomly happen to think of them, and you're like, oh yeah, I wonder what's up with that person, and you search for them, and you go to their page, catch up on stuff, and then you're like, that's weird, I haven't seen a tweet from this person in like a year. How is that? Why is that? Well, that's very deliberate. It's very deliberate. Chances are that person has expressed anti-establishment sentiment or opinions at one time or another that has prohibited them from ever showing up in your timeline. This is very deliberate, folks. This is very deliberate. This is about as Orwellian / Black Mirror as it gets in terms of quintessential examples of. LAB's got a strike for climbing a tree and eating Carolina Reapers. I have no idea. That's wild. I don't know why that would happen. In an ever-changing world, you have to make ever-changing content. And I say, good on you, real deal, Steve Steele. Thank you, Juan. I appreciate it, guys. Appreciate it. So let's see here. Obviously, Twitter is alive and well, despite what has been going on here. Fox Business reporting recently. Check this out, guys. Clinton-linked dark money group targeted Twitter advertisers amid Elon Musk's takeover. Accountable Tech and dozens of left-wing groups have targeted Twitter's top advertisers. A Hillary Clinton-linked dark money group set its sights on Twitter advertisers amid Elon Musk's acquisition of it. Fox Business has just learned Twitter has outsized influence in shaping both public discourse and industry-wide platform governance standards, the letter states. While the company is hardly a poster child for healthy social media, it has taken welcome steps in recent years to mitigate systemic risks, ratcheting up pressure on the likes of Facebook and YouTube to follow suit. Musk intends to steamroll those safeguards and provide a megaphone to extremists who traffic in disinformation, hate, and harassment. It continues under the guise of free speech, quote unquote free speech. I like how they put free speech in quotes as if it's not real. If that's not a real thing. Or a noble thing, right? His vision will silence and endanger marginalized communities and tear at the fraying fabric of democracy. Wow, it's just like an Orwellian leftist buzzword checklist all rolling in one. What a load of garbage. What a load of crap. You guys buying this? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. You know, these are buzzwords that we see over and over again that are used repeatedly and deliberately to help dictate people's opinions and efforts to, rather. So what we have learned over the last several years is that many Americans have been brainwashed into not understanding the fundamental basic truth that hate speech is free speech. Now, different platforms are free to decide what that means and what they will allow on their respective platforms, but legally, by law in the United States, hate speech is free speech. Now, the amount of people that I've noticed that don't understand this, that aren't cognizant of this over the last few years, is unsettling. I mean, most Americans knew this 10 years ago. An increasing limited number of Americans understand the basic reality that under our Constitution, hate speech is indeed free speech. And if you try telling some of these people this, they don't believe you. They don't believe you that that hate speech is legal in the United States. And it's one of the last places on the planet where it is. It used to be a hallmark liberal argument in the not so distant past that I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll fight to the death to defend for your right to do so, right? And this was a common, I'm paraphrasing that a little bit, but this was a common phrase and point that most Americans could agree on regardless where you're at. And this has been an increasingly partisan position, which is baffling to me. Furthermore, what is the definition of hate speech? Who decides what that is? Right? It becomes a pretty slippery slope. Same for the word disinformation. Boy, oh boy, I'm really wading in it, right? I'm really going in there on a platform that really doesn't like to have content creators to have conversations like this. Oh well. Maybe I'll have to take it over to Rumble and get even less viewers than I'm getting now. Disinformation, that's another good one, right? Disinformation. And what we've seen over the last few years, that the news and media outlets that are most concerned about quote-unquote disinformation are arguably packed full of disinformation themselves. Furthermore, many positions and opinions that the establishment has labeled disinformation have become reality 6 to 12 months later. And that's where the saying goes, it came from really, that sometimes the only difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth is about 6 months, right? I'm not saying that's always the case, and there's certainly plenty of conspiracy theories out there that are ridiculous. Flat Earth maybe being one of them, though I suspect there's probably even a flat earther maybe in here. But it is what it is, folks. It is what it is. I think it's important to talk about these things more, be well aware of it, because it's hard for me even to talk about crypto without acknowledging these things, folks. It's all kind of tying together. We have the fall of FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, second largest donor to Democratic Party, only next to George Soros. And to be fair, he did donate to select Republican campaigns too, but comparatively, it's a fraction of what he has donated to the Democratic Party. And then we have multiple allegations of him conspiring with Gary Gensler to essentially run a monopoly on what crypto legislation looks like between those two. Well, that's pretty unsettling and not far-fetched at all. This is hardly conjecture at this point, right? Hardly conjecture at this point. So it's affecting us directly, those of us who are in cryptocurrency. It's kind of hard, getting increasingly more difficult if you really want to have truthful conversations about this stuff without it crossing over into political realms and halls of power and the struggle for that power, right? But getting back to this dark money group, this Clinton-funded dark money group, who's been running an offensive on Elon Musk and Twitter under Elon Musk. It's a lot of fear-mongering, right? And so what we've learned is terms like misinformation, hate speech, disinformation, hate. These are all have become terms that are just really generously and overly used on anything that the establishment disagrees with, essentially. Anything that the corporate media disagrees with. Any narrative that runs counter to that becomes the aforementioned. Well, that is the first thing you want to ask when anyone accuses you of propagating those things or supporting those things. Is, well, how do you define those things? What are you defining as that? And usually you'll soon learn that their definition of these things is very wide-reaching. Much more wide-reaching than the actual definitions of these things. The actual dictionary definitions of these things, right? I mean, we see this all the time. We see this all the time. I mean, I could go on and give example after example. We'd be here all day. We'd be here all day. On November 1st, dozens of left-wing groups co-signed a letter calling the advertisers to embrace content moderation or boycott the platform. Business Insider reported included Accountable Tech, Ooh, that's a good shadow group. Accountable Tech. Accountable Tech. Why do all these dark money groups have these hauntingly ambiguous names, right? Another group that is attacking, a dark money group that's been attacking Elon Musk, is called Onward Together. Hey guys, we're just here to help. We're here to get society moving onward together. That sounds nice, right? So basically, this is really confirmation that the monopoly on information, and the monopoly on information that you have access to and your mind has access to, has been carefully curated and incredibly limited. It's by design. It's by design, folks. Much more so than even those of us who've been cognizant of this have already assumed. They've already assumed, and so that is why the freak out is so massive. And Elon Musk isn't even really a conservative, and he's not a Republican. He's a free thinker that simply wants to even the playing field, or attempt to even the playing field for a more variety of opinions on Twitter. He just doesn't want, he just wants to end the severe tipping of the scales. He's not even trying, he doesn't want an inherent bias one way or another. He's been very clear about that. In fact, he wants to essentially direct democratize what qualifies as helpful information. There's going to be a voting mechanism for various news articles where people can decide, and users can decide, what news they find most beneficial versus not, and let the cream rise to the top. Well, corporate media does not want this to happen. As they've been literally caught saying before, it's our job to decide what you think, not your job. I cannot believe, Nick, haven't had a single issue in over a decade. I can't believe it. You've been very lucky. What's going on? Why is Dogecoin dumping? Someone else says. Is Dogecoin dumping? Oh, let's check on it, shall we? Let's check on it, and then I give you my feedback on what's going on with Dogecoin today. We'll talk about Dogecoin for a minute or two here. No problem. No problem. I'm taking a look at all the charts right now on my end. Got a bunch of tabs open. Dogecoin is not dumping, my friend. I'm not sure where you got that. I guess comparatively to where it was a little more than a month ago when we sailed up to, what was that, 13, 14 cents during that 1 week before we came down. Yeah, healthy retracement accumulated, but we were at a much higher floor than where we were before that big pump, right? So Dogecoin right now trading about 8.5 cents. It's up about 2% for the week. Up about trading exactly sideways over the last 24 hours. Still up about 44% over the last 4 weeks. And of course, down considerably over the last 12 months to the tune of about 64%. Dogecoin is working pretty much in tandem right now with where Bitcoin is at. Now, keep in mind, Bitcoin is down about 72% over the last 12 months, and down about 14% over the last month. And Ethereum is down 72% over the last year and 7.5% over the last month. So Dogecoin is doing comparatively exceptionally well to the rest of the top 10s. And I think I can safely assume, I don't have time to look into it now, probably doing the best right now comparatively, over the last month comparatively to the rest of the top 10. So now, I would love to go back to the days when we were regularly streaming here and Dogecoin was between 30 and 45 cents on the regular. That was great. I think we'll get there again, particularly as we move forward with the vast utility and technical developments, new technical developments that will be ushered in at Twitter. And I think that will involve a lot of Dogecoin integration now. People want to be it's impossible for Dogecoin blockchain to be integrated with. I understand that. That's not what I mean by integration. I mean integration in terms of people being able to directly use and store Dogecoin on Twitter. Let's see what's going on in the comments. Rodrigo, what's up, Steven Steele? Real deal. Doge to the moon. Yes, indeed, my friend. Good to see you, Rodrigo. Jeff says it all comes down to how we learn expression. It's how we learn right or wrong. To prohibit it is to deny folks the right to learn and self-correct. I very well stated, Jeff, and thank you for adding that. Nick coming through here with a couple different comments, and I'm going to read them all. Nick says there's growing evidence to the proof SBF was working directly with the Democratic Party to essentially run out the open Ponzi scheme involving his parents and politicians, to essentially get crypto regulated to the hill so that the government could control all aspects. Basically, the whole thing was set up from the beginning to siphon money from customers to the Democrats so they could establish a need for crypto in America to become completely ran by the government. Yeah, it's hard to disagree with the narrative that Nick has laid forth there. It really is, and I'm certainly not going to dispute it, put it that way. Is there 100% proof that that's what happened this time? No. But is there endless red flags to suggest that's pretty much been the case for the most part? Yes. Yes. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. And so this is the biggest story out there right now, in my opinion. There's always been, as Nick can certainly attest to, there's always been these massive crash and hype cycles throughout Twitter, but there's never been a black swan event like this. Not even close. Not even close. It'll be interesting to see what kind of regulation that the government has lined up for us in the near future here. And it makes me wonder if now, or close to now, is the time to go all in on buying. Well, the prices are this way. I'm still skeptical that this is the bottom, by the way, before all this new regulation comes in. Right? So, I'm not sure how to feel about that yet, but I'm going to keep a close eye on it all. Of course, Mastodon now is trending on Twitter as the collective hissy fit continues. Establishment tool bag and proven pervert Rick Wilson of the Lincoln Project just tweeted this out. If Twitter, I'll say the word poops the bed, my Insta is the Rick Wilson. I'm also on Reddit, but I rarely post. That may change. I recommend everybody switch over to Mastodon. Good luck with that, Rick. Good luck with that. Nick says the only reason why my Dogecoin only exchange will be so important, not only will we allow margin futures of any kind, but we also publish daily earnings so all customers know where the profits go. Yeah, so Nick said it. You heard it here, folks. Nick is working on building out a Dogecoin-only exchange with maximum transparency. So definitely looking forward to that. Looking forward to those developments and having Nick on the show to talk about it. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. Anything else here on my roster this morning? I didn't want to go on too long this morning, but just felt in lieu of recent events, this was time-sensitive stuff to get on. I got to hand it to AOC on this one. She's AOC, Business Insider reports, tells pissed off Swifties, these are Taylor Swift fans, to demand the Justice Department break up Ticketmaster after Taylor Swift ticket debacle. Say that 3 times fast. Ticketmaster canceled its general sale for Taylor Swift's Eras Tour on Thursday, prompting an outcry. Representative AOC urged fans to take action on the Ticketmaster monopoly. Lawmakers have previously called for the Justice Department to investigate the company. So essentially what's been happening for a while with Ticketmaster, due to their monopoly on the concert ticket industry, is they are overcharging with what they call processing fees to ridiculous, absurd degrees. So for super high demand concerts, they'll say, hey, we've got these tickets are $55 each and our processing fee is $700 on top of that, right? Do stuff like this, and well, because they can get away with it. So AOC is actually sticking up for consumers there and trying to put some regulation in there. Yeah, that's fine with me. Yeah, I think they're working on all that, Jeff, and I certainly think they'll get here. But guys, I'm going to wind this one up. This is kind of a short show. Almost an hour. I guess that it flew by, but that's on the short-ish end for me overall. But thanks for tuning in this morning. Hope you guys got something out of it. I don't know if you did, but I hope you did. And thanks for tuning in. Hey, listen, if you do enjoy the channel, please tell someone about it. I'm totally shadow banned. It's hard for me to reach new people, so yeah, if you know someone that might dig what we're doing over here, yeah, tell them about your man, Real Deal, Steele. Appreciate you guys tuning in this morning, and I'll be back soon. Until next time, this is your man, Real Deal, Steele. Signing out.
If we operate with extreme urgency, then we have a chance of making life multiplanetary. Still just a chance, not for sure. If we don't act with extreme urgency, that chance is probably zero. And the rate of innovation is not going to be constant. It's either going to increase the rate of innovation, or it's going to slow down. If you look at American access to space with Crew, we were able to go to the moon in '69. Then with the space shuttle, we could only go to low Earth orbit. And the space shuttle retired. And then for almost a decade, there was no, America had no access to space with people. So this is a pretty bad trend. It's trending to zero. Right. We need a very strong trend in the other direction in order to have any chance whatsoever of making life multi-planetary. Yep. So that's the reason for the extreme sense of urgency.
build the technologies necessary to make life multiplanetary. To answer more seriously, if you consider the nature of importance itself and say, how do you tell it anything is important? Well, the lens of history is a helpful guide here. And the more you zoom out, the more you can distinguish the things that are important over a great span of time, the truly important things, versus things that may seem important in the moment but are forgotten once that moment has passed.